There are so many HR buzzwords flying around these days. DEI strategy, employee retention strategy, talent acquisition strategy, employee development strategy. What in the world does all these things mean? And is this something you should be focusing on right now? As an HR department of one, you have limited time. So you don't have time to be focusing on shiny objects that can take you down a rabbit hole for weeks on end without quite understanding what you should do next. Short answer, yes, you do need HR strategies. Not a single HR strategy, but multiple HR strategies. And no, this is not something you want to ignore. So if you're looking for an overview of what HR strategies you should focus on and why, this video is for you. This video is the first in a 6-part series on this channel where I'm going to talk about HR strategy, what you need to know about it, how you can implement it in your own business. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of these videos coming through next. When it comes to HR strategies, there are 3 approaches that you can take. 1, you can do nothing, just keep your head in the sand, focusing on what you're already focusing on and not worry about HR strategies. 2, you can do everything, take information that you get from conferences and books and social media and conversations and do a lot of different things to see what sticks against the wall. Or number 3, you can find that happy medium and make things happen for what actually matters to your team and to your organization. Of those 3 approaches, which approach do you think would be best for your organization where you are right now? Drop that down in the comments below. So why should you even care about working through HR strategy in the first place? Well, number 1, you want to make sure that anything that you do in your HR department, anything that you're doing above and beyond the things it takes to make your department run effectively, so operationally and tactically, you want to make sure that it makes sense to what your business is already focusing on. This means make sure you are aligning with the business objectives when you're putting new HR initiatives in place. The goal here is to not get distracted by all the shiny objects and all the very interesting things that you might see in the media, in other organizations, and even in your conversation that you have with peers in the HR space. What works for their team might not work for your team. So you need to understand what your business is already focusing on, what your business needs today, and find out what you can do as an HR leader, as a person who's in charge of your HR department. What can you do to bridge those gaps? 10 years ago, the conversations around HR was about getting that proverbial seat at the table. Today, many of us have that seat at the table, but we don't always know what to do when we get there. A cheat code that I found to be helpful in my experience is using the data that only you have to help drive meaningful change. For example, if you know your organization is focusing on a certain issue, what can you focus on in your HR team, whether it's a metric, whether it's an activity, whether it's a new initiative? What can you do to help the business meet the goals that it has already set, whether they consider HR or not? HR has all of the data when it comes to employees, and employees are what the business needs to make sure they are meeting their goals. So if you can find ways to bridge those gaps to make sure that we understand what we can do, what we can tweak to move the business forward, that's how you use your seat at the table. Once you know what your business's focuses are, whether it's to attract new clients, whether it's to retain their clients, whether it's to add a new product or service offering, all of those things are going to have different needs for the HR side, whether it's to upskill and reskill your employees, whether it's to find different ways to engage employees, whether it's to attract different types of talent, whether it's to retain your current talent. Again, every option, every obstacle that you might face when it comes to a business goal, there's another action that you can take on the HR side to help to meet that goal. So once you understand what that issue is, you can work with other leaders and your CEOs, especially, to find different ways to bridge those gaps. I'd love to hear from you. So what are some ways that you find out what makes sense to what your business is focusing on right now? Do you talk to your CEO? Do you listen into your senior leadership meetings? What are some ways to understand how can you keep a finger on the pulse of what your business is focusing on right now? Earlier in this video, I talked about the different approaches you can take. You can do absolutely nothing, so you can focus on what you're already doing right now and not worry about HR strategy. You can do everything, so you can focus on all the HR strategies that you can find and just throw a lot of things at the wall to see what sticks. Or you can find that happy medium, meaning that you can find what makes sense to your business right now, where does your business want to go, and how can HR come in to help to support those initiatives. So if you put in the comments before happy medium, that's exactly the right approach. You want to find what works for your team. What works for my team might not work for yours, might not work for the next person's. But every HR department should have a very unique approach to when it comes to meeting the business objectives. Now, all this might seem really interesting to you. You might say, Brittany, I know I need HR strategies, but I'm not really sure where to find my strategies. Where do I even start? If that sounds like you, I highly suggest you enroll in my next cohort for the SHRM HR Department of One Specialty Credential Program. I highly recommend this program because it's exactly what I wanted important when I was starting out in HR, not because I didn't know what to do in HR, but more so because I didn't want to just go into work and have the same day over and over again like Groundhog Day. I wanted to know that the work that I was doing was impactful. I wanted to know that I was doing things that actually made a difference. I wanted to know that I was doing things that was not just making sense to me, but that also made sense to the employees that I led, made sense to the teams that I was serving, and made sense to the senior leaders as well. So this program is very comprehensive, takes you through 8 modules, and you're going to walk away with 5 strategies, overarching strategies that you can make sure that we walk through in every single night session. So you can walk away with at least one targeted strategy for every single module. You can bring it back to your organization. In the last class I was working through, one of the clients said that she actually has her own blueprint, her own toolkit of what she can walk through with her own team. And I think it's an excellent format for you to go through this process. It's a 10-hour class, and I typically break it out over 5 different nights in the evening, so you can break away from the day-to-day work as you're already in your day-to-day grind. But I love this program so much because it gives you industry-backed research, gives you an actual action plan, and have personalized information for your own individual blueprint for your own individual department. It is so valuable, and my highest recommendation if you are serious about putting together a strategy for your small business, for your new HR department, or even for your established HR department. Do you know right now not only what strategies to move forward in your organization, but also how to present them to your organization's leaders in a way that's going to be easily accepted? If not, make sure you get into my next cohort for this class. It's going to be so beneficial for your time. Now that you know why it's so important to prioritize HR strategies, it's time to dig deeper into putting together a plan that's going to work for you. In my next video, we're going to walk through step by step a guide for you to walk through and to understand how you can put together a plan that's going to work for your organization, that's going to be easily accepted because it's going to be easily aligned to what the business focuses on. See you in the next video.